Today we're talking about 2024 trends that we're going to see couples do on their wedding day. Now that's not just like blurry photos and things like that, but it's more about the events and things that they're going to plan for their wedding day, either to entertain their guests or to just make their wedding stand out compared to other ones.
These are our opinions. This is also perhaps some things that we hope to see more of, because I think 2024 is a year where a lot of things have probably changed, I would say, over the last couple of years, just through everything that's gone on in the world. So I think that for 2024, these are some of the things that we hope to see more of, so that it'll just make every client's wedding day just that much better.
Yeah, we dabbled in some of these a little bit in 2023, now that weddings are kind of back to normal after COVID, and now trends are starting to set in. People are starting to do crazier activities. They want that content for social media. They want the fun, really, to bring themselves out of like the boring routine. We've heard it more often than not. I don't want a standard wedding. So what does that mean? What can you add to your wedding to make it less standard and more unique?
And I'm so excited for that, because that's totally us and our brand, and that we want to have fun. And I feel like that was probably back in 2019, 2020 even, when we were trying to have fun and that was our style. People thought we were a little bit crazy, but I'm so glad that we've kind of gone that route, because that's truly just really true to our hearts.
One of the things that people want to do less of is less formalities, right? So they want the day to flow a little bit better. They want to use their time a little bit wiser. It's less doing a wedding for their family and family photos, things like that. And it's more about just having fun and creating a good experience for themselves and their guests.
And like actually enjoying the day, right? And I think there's so many cool ways to do that. And I hope that each couple truly considers what they want their experience to be on their wedding day, because at the end of the day, this is the biggest party they're ever going to throw. They're spending the most amount of money probably they'll ever spend on one day, and they need to make it as true to them as possible. One of the trends that I see happening for this year is definitely less family formal photos. Now, I'm not saying that there's not going to be any. I just found one of the weddings that we did last year, after the ceremony, we had already done first look, and during that time we did all of the immediate family, like parents and siblings, the people that you see probably more than anybody else. And after the ceremony, it was only 4, maybe 5 or 6 combinations. And that, for me and the couple, I found was just like a breath of fresh air. We literally jumped in and did like the mom's side, the dad's side, on each of the couple's sides, and maybe one with grandparents, and that was it. And I'm not saying that that's like the ideal scenario at every wedding. Obviously, every wedding is going to be unique, but so much time was saved because we weren't doing every single family, every single parent, every single kid that was there. Like, it was just all of you together in one photo and then all of you out. And what's nice about that is that now everybody could just quickly go and enjoy cocktail hour, and also the couple could go and enjoy cocktail hour, because we weren't spending 45 minutes doing family formals after the ceremony.
Yeah, especially when it's like, oh, I want a photo with all my nephews and nieces and all of my cousins and all of my aunts and uncles. It can be a little
on each side, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You've got 4 sides.
It can be a little much, and like you said, it could take away from enjoying, especially when it's late in the year. You don't have a lot of time with the sun setting quickly, or if it's cold outside and we're keeping everyone there so that they're waiting for their turn to go before going inside. Or it's hot, yeah, it's hot or cold. True. And you're right, as a photographer, it's really nice to be able to get through it. It's not like it's the worst part of the day, but we always say it's not the most pleasant time of the day. It's just something that you have to get through.
It's one of the most stressful, for sure.
Yeah, it's like herding cats.
Literally. And after this season, I've realized that it's just, you really have to want them. And you really have to think, what am I going to do with these photos? Am I going to put a photo of me and Uncle Bob up on my fridge or up on my wall in my home? Probably not, you know? It's never really going to see the light of day, so why take time away from your day to do it?
Yeah, it's getting rid of like the old, I'm doing this for them, and really just making more the wedding about yourself and what you want.
Yeah. And I know that traditionally that's just been not the case, and families may kind of push back. So I encourage all my couples, or we encourage all of our couples, to have this discussion with them in advance. These are the combinations. This is what we're doing. Get on board with it. Don't like all of a sudden harass my photographer on the day because you want to have a photo with you and me and everybody, like a million different combinations. This is what I want. If you want to do that, you can ask my photographer. She has time. You want a picture with you and your sisters or your brothers or whatever. Absolutely. I'm happy to do that. But I think it's just really dependent on what the couple wants. And I hope to see this trend more in 2024. Definitely going to be encouraging people.
A trend we're seeing this year is that couples want more coverage on their wedding day, allowing for more breaks and just easier transition between events.
I agree. I think couples realize that they don't want it to be a marathon on the wedding day, like where they're essentially just going from one thing to another, because at the end of the day, it goes by so fast. And everybody says that, but it actually does. Even for vendors, it usually goes by really fast. And we do this all the time, so I can't imagine how fast it feels for couples. But I do see people realizing that there's value in having breaks throughout the whole thing. And so that means just getting what we need to get done and then having a little bit of time. Or maybe it's just giving yourselves more time for travel time or more time alone with each other, because I feel like that's something that couples really don't get to do, especially if they don't do a first look. They're not even seeing each other until like 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock or something like that. So I really do believe that this year, the trend is going to be that they want to have just more time to do what they need to do, what's important to them, capturing all the moments, but also just being able to fully be present in the day. And that doesn't just happen if you're trying to do it in a 6-hour coverage, if that makes sense. Especially if you're going to multiple venues or multiple locations, that just doesn't happen. You're not going to feel like it's a chill day when you're doing that.
And it's really hard to plan for the unexpected things. For example, if your dress rips or something needs to be sewed, there's a lot of different things that can happen on a wedding day that's unaccounted for. And if there's no breaks or even back-to-back events, it doesn't really allow for any of that stuff to be able to resolve before the next event is happening. And then it domino effects that the next event is going to be late, it's going to be late, it's going to be late. And then in the end, you're trying to save money by having a condensed timeline. And then you have to have your vendor team stay late because things are just running late. And usually it can cost a lot more money if you have them additional hours on the wedding day compared to just pre-buying the hours.
Exactly. At least in our case, I think that's how it should be for everybody. But even things like if you really wanted to start the dance floor at, say, 8 p.m. I know that was like a really important detail for you. And then so you start paying the DJ to start at like 8 p.m. or whatever. And now you can't start for an hour because everything has been delayed, right? Like you're losing money that way as well. So it's worthwhile to just prepare to have breaks and to really enjoy the day. It doesn't mean that we have to be there at like 8 a.m. when you just like roll out of bed. I mean, most girls are not rolling out of bed at 8 a.m., but we don't need to be there at that time, but it's just allowing for things to start a little bit earlier so that this way you have more time during the day.
Yeah, and a perfect example is makeup and hair running late.
Oh, yeah.
That's something that we've seen so much in the last couple of years, and it's something that as much as you plan for it, it can still happen, and that's something that really sets off, and we try to crunch everything in the morning so that the rest of the day isn't as bad. But I feel like when you start your day like that, it's already putting a lot of stress on the couple, on the vendors, everyone to just pull together and try to make something happen. And again, it plays on our creativity. Maybe we're just rushing through things and we're distracted.
Or we're skipping things.
And we're skipping stuff. Yeah, exactly. And it's not great for us, and it's not great for the clients.
I could go into a whole other thing about hair and makeup, but one of the things I do recommend to couples is like if you have a lot of people getting hair and makeup done, you need to hire more than one artist. I don't know how many times I ran into that this year where they only hired one person. Now, I don't know if it was just based on availability or whatever, but hire more than one person. If you have 8 people getting their hair and makeup done, like in October, when there's like barely any sunlight, it's just going to make for a really difficult difficult schedule after that, right? Things are going to feel crunched.
Another trending thing is to get a photo with each of your guests. And that doesn't mean that you're going to do a solo photo with each of your guests, because God knows that would take forever. But it's doing this table game or trying to get a photo of each table with the couple. What's your experience with that? Do you like it? Dislike it? What's going on here?
I hate it. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. Personally, me running around to each table to try and get this awkward people like kind of turning, some standing, like just my lens isn't wide enough. I don't know. It's just awful. So please don't do it. Please stop doing this running around thing. I prefer, and I tell all my couples, please, please, please go. And if you want to do that, I understand the value in that. Make it so that each table goes to you. Then we can have like a nice space for that. They can kind of line up if they need to and make it fun. But definitely please stop with the photographers running around. Some people might love it, but I found like it's just not been great.
I think as a concept, it's really cool. And I do like it in that sense, but you're right. If you can find a place to have the couple sit and the tables come there, it's just easier as a photographer to get the lighting correct, to make sure everyone's in focus.
Where is this photo gonna go of your uncle like turned around and like half a potato or a bun in his mouth? Like, it's just, to me, have them come to you. You can make it formal, you can make it fun. It can still be really like an activity, but you're more likely to do something with that photo of them coming to you than this like awkward sitting around the table one. Or the couple can literally just bring 2 chairs onto the dance floor and then everybody can come
That's what I was
behind
thinking,
them too,
is
right?
that the
like,
2 chairs are like against a backdrop of some kind. It's not really just their head table, right?
And usually the head table is decorated much nicer anyways. If you're gonna put money anywhere, you should always deck out the head table, because whenever we're taking photos or videos is like the head table. I mean, we do obviously do some beautiful wide shots of things, but 90% of the reception is like you sitting at a table.
Yeah, it's podium, head table. Even during first dances and stuff, we use the head table as a background a lot of the times, right?
So yeah, definitely those are the places to invest a lot of money if that's what you want to do, but that's my thing about those.
The table game.
Not my fave.
Nay.
They run to you. Perfect.
Yeah. Moving on to one of Bethany's favorite things, second outfits and second grand entrance.
I'm obsessed. Like, I love a second outfit. I hope everybody does it this year. Like, I know you spend a lot of money on the dress, and I get that you want to wear it for the entire night, but there's so many reasons why it doesn't make sense. One being it's heavy. People step on it a lot on the dance floor. Sometimes the bustle breaks, and then you literally have to hold it the entire night. You can't get down. You can't like really
down
boogie.
and dirty, yeah.
Like you're not really able to just like enjoy yourself. Plus, if you've been like, it's been a really hot day or something and you've been sweating in it all day, like I just think I'm team get a second dress. And then, I mean, a second grand entrance, that is just for fun. I've done it a few times and it's just so cool to do. And a couple weddings that I've done it at, they played a specific song for it, and we just got like this really cool angle of it, and it's just like a different way to kind of get the party started, or like even just going again, right? Like you probably already started the party and then you go and change. That's kind of how it's been happening for us anyways. And I love it. Like, I hope it stays. Like, I want it to stay forever. And it doesn't have to be like a crazy second gown. It doesn't have to be the most expensive one, but I just think that there's value in having a second dress just to be more comfortable. And the groom too. Like, I think it's good for the groom to switch out of those like really uncomfortable dress shoes, maybe switch shirts.
Because after a whole wedding day of moving around like we make them do, you get sweaty, but I think the shoes is a big part of what I like about it, is change to something comfortable, because there's no way you can go 10 hours in dress shoes and still dance on the dance floor.
Well, another like 5 hours or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So you want to enjoy the party, and I think the best way to do that is by switching your dress and maybe your outfits. I mean, and maybe even come up with something cool. Like, I saw a lot of couples doing like matching shoes, and I really love that, like matching sneakers or matching Nikes or something, and I love that. Like, it's just like another little thing that maybe you'll have as a keepsake, right? Like shoes are something, like how often are you going to rewear your wedding high heels? Not very often. Would you rewear your wedding like sneakers? Probably a lot. Like you get some value out of it later on too.
Yeah, exactly. It's
and
not just a one purchase and it's done kind of thing.
Yeah.
You can have the glitz and glamour with your first dress with a huge train with whatever ball gown,
the veil,
and it looks great for ceremony and the official things like the first dance. But then when it comes to party time, you want to just let loose, be able to go on the dance floor and bust a move, and that's our style, right? Like that's why we want to see it so much more, because it really lets them experience the dance floor. And like you said, if you're just lugging around this big train or dress and
people keep stepping on it or
yeah,
spilling on it or whatever.
And plus it'll keep your dress cleaner. It keeps it cleaner and in the sense that there won't be as much booze spilt on it later on.
Exactly.
Now, people think there's only a set number of songs that you can walk down the aisle to, but we've seen a lot of unique, fun, different songs that the groom has walked down to, or even the bride has walked down to, or even when the recessional is happening.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one that I like to keep hearing, because it's just different, right? Like when you go to 100 weddings a year, you get you hear the officiants say the same thing or the same songs being used. I just love something different and creative, because not only does it allow your guests to experience something different, but we hear something different and it brings a smile to my face. That's for sure.
Do you remember the song that we had for our wedding in 2017?
Of us coming down or leaving?
Leaving.
Yeah, it was Baby Don't Hurt Me. Yeah.
What is love, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, that definitely just like makes me smile so much when couples want to have a song that's different. And I saw something recently that I thought was pretty cool. Like the groom actually had this whole dance that he did as he came down the aisle. Now that was a lot, but I love that stuff. I think, let's it's 2024. Let them have their day too. It's not just for the girls, it's for the boys too.
And people love their internet fame, right? So if you do something creative and fun and it gets captured, then you're gonna put it on social and people are just gonna love it,
yeah,
right?
But one note. If you are doing any of these crazy things, please tell your vendors.
That's true.
Please tell your vendors. How many times have we been caught where people just didn't tell us they were doing something? I mean, we still captured it, but it is so much better when we're told in advance that you're going to have this crazy, move or dance move or whatever, right? Like if you're doing
the dirty dancing.
If you're doing the dirty dancing lift on your wedding day, you got to tell us, okay? We need to be ready for that. And just as an idea, or if you're doing a fun entrance down the aisle, we're ready for those things, but it's just things that we should be aware of, right? And I promise we won't tell anyone, but it's just good for us to know.
Yeah, that's one of the questions that sometimes we don't ask couples. Hey, is this going to be a unique first dance, or is this going to be parent dance that turns into something? And maybe there is going to be that and they just forgot to tell us, but it is really nice knowing ahead of time if we need to capture that, because then we can make sure that we're not zoomed in while it's happening and we have to prepare or go on the fly with it.
Yeah, or maybe we're looking for a reaction, right?
That's true.
Sometimes it's okay, maybe we want to focus on mom's reaction or something because something's going to happen, right? So it's just those things. It just helps us prepare and just be more on the lookout for things, right?
But yeah, new songs, be creative, do what you think it would make you happy, or if you guys have an inside joke song or something that really speaks to the two of you, do it for yourself.
Let's get away from doing super quick 5-minute, 10-minute ceremonies where there's no, you know what I mean? Not saying we need to have an hour-long ceremony, but let's get away from just let's just quickly get it done to let's make it fun, let's make it unique, and let's make it memorable. I think that's where people need to go. It'll just be better that way. The older generation of people are going to be on the dance floor no matter what, probably from 9 p.m. till 10 p.m. At 10 p.m., that first bus that's taking them to their hotel or whatever, they're going home. They're going to be on the dance floor regardless. So just choose music that's going to get everybody on the dance floor. And that, to me, I loved seeing that this year. There was no, I hate to say it, but boomer music playing on the dance floor. And from the very beginning, And that was still for sure one of the most fun weddings, right? Like it even last year that happened, like 2022, there was a wedding that was the same thing. It was just like no boomer music, just straight into like fun, like dance music that just got everybody like on the dance floor. And regardless, the older generation, the boomers, were on the dance floor anyways. I highly recommend to choose a DJ with music that you and your friends love to party to, because that will literally make or break your night. If you choose like a band and they play like, I don't know, Cotton Eye Joe or whatever, just like
Your
terrible, I hate that song. If they choose like terrible music and it's just like not really upbeat, like people are just not going to dance. I really do believe a DJ, I'm not saying bands are awful, but a DJ is really what's going to make it more of that party vibe.
Yeah, we're definitely more DJ people than band people. And I like hearing music that makes me want to dance instead of easy listening music, right? Like not a top 40, kind of what you're going to hear on the radio, because a lot of that is like cool, I can bob my head to it, but it doesn't make me want to jump and express how excited I am
like
to be there.
Sing along to it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I do like some sing along, mixing a little bit Blink 182 or Sum 41, little Britney Spears, Eminem. But some of that remixed good stuff to get really the energy going into the room, I think that's always important.
Yeah, I think that is the trend though. This year is going to be more party vibes, more fun. So choose a DJ that is applicable. If you have to spend more money, spend it. Because I'm telling you, if you choose somebody who just doesn't get that or literally plays every song that you hate, like, you don't want to be spending all your night at the DJ booth telling them what to play.
It makes a huge difference in the photos and videos as well, right? Mm-hmm. You can tell when the dance floor is actually having a good time versus not. So you're right. A good DJ can really set the mood, and don't skimp out on the DJ.
Yeah.
Because we've seen some bad ones, we've seen some good ones, and let me tell you, it makes a huge difference.
True. A trend that I see happening or coming into 2024 more is going to be like the wedding weekend vibe. And what I mean about that is there's events happening, maybe even like a Thursday, like a rehearsal, and maybe even like a party, a pre-party or something like that after that. And the wedding, say, happening on Saturday, and then a Sunday brunch where people are just booking a hotel for the weekend, they're taking the time off, they're there to sort of be present throughout all the activities. And I just see that as being, it doesn't have to be like 150 people. It could be like a very intimate group. But I do see that happening more and more as people realize that they just want to be able to sort of soak in everything versus it just happening like, okay, it's just one day and then that's it. I feel like it's a nice way to sort of celebrate with everybody, see everyone, get to spend more one-on-one time. And then by the time the wedding comes, people can just really sit back and enjoy it, and then party, obviously, and then say their goodbyes and reminisce. I think there's a lot to be said about reminiscing the next morning, at
Still
breakfast.
I was going to say that.
But that next morning is so important. Even last year when we shot one of your friend's wedding, we stayed over and we went and had breakfast with them the next morning. It was just so nice to just chat with them and just see how everything went and
have them say how good we are at our job.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. And the mom came up to us and said, sometimes when you hire friends, they're not that great, but you guys are actually good at what you do. Thanks.
Forever we'll remember.
Yeah, I will forever remember that comment.
But you're right, the reminiscing the next day. Even when we hung out with one of our clients this year after the fact, all we talked about was really their wedding, because it was so fun to kind of unpack all of the stuff that had happened. Once you get to the wedding, you don't want to spend majority of your time catching up with people. You want to be there to just enjoy the day itself. Yeah. So having a little bit of that pre-party or just get together, it doesn't have to be like a DJ and get wasted. It could just be have a few drinks, eat a charcuterie board kind of thing, and just talk and catch up. And then on the wedding day, you guys can just, like old times, get together and just joke around and have fun.
Yeah. Like even like a backyard barbecue or, just order pizzas. Like, just doesn't have to be crazy, but I do see that as just being a really nice way to connect with people. So just if you're going to a wedding and maybe just sort of see what guests would be interested in being sort of part of the whole weekend. I guess it mostly would apply to people who are coming from out of town as well, because they would be more likely to stay in like a hotel, but
yeah, but even if it's local, just get together with your wedding party. You know, if you all live in the same city, just do a little get together. And most of the time you're doing a rehearsal anyway, so it could be before or after the rehearsal. And just if you have any tasks to hand out, it's pretty easy to be like, I need you to do this and you to do that.
Spread it over more than one day. That's what I'm trying to say. And I see that happening this year more.
Yeah, so if you're not doing it, do it.
So, are you team Champagne Tower or no Champagne Tower? Do you see it staying this year, or do you feel like it's been overdone?
I only saw it a few times this year, and I like it because it's something that the couple can do that's just like a fun thing. Most of the time it leads to them laughing and just enjoying themselves.
I like them. I like the Champagne Towers. Again, I see it as like a fun activity. However, note that it takes a little bit longer than you think. You know, there is a lot of planning that goes into it. How many bottles of champagne, types of champagne glasses, and also what it looks like and the location of where you're doing it, I think also matters. I feel like the one that we did outside was really, really cool.
Yeah.
But I also did one where it was inside and it was really backlit and just like, it just didn't look very good. It was kind of on like a table with like a tablecloth, like just wasn't the vibe I think that it really could have been, if that makes sense. So I would prefer if it was just like, you kind of had like a specific vision for it and you decked out this space, or even just like used florals from, you know, your tables or whatever, just to make that sort of pop, if that makes sense. But
no pun intended.
No pun intended. But I don't know. I see it kind of dwindling this year, but I'm sure we'll see it a few times for sure.
Yeah, I like it. Like you said, maybe put a little bit of effort into where it's going to be and what it's going to look like, because you can have really nice photos with it. And I just like it because it's another event to shoot. Some things can go wrong, which makes for good content on social or whatever. You know, it comes crumbling down like, oh, I'll send it to fail compilation or whatever it is. And yeah, couples just seem to like have a lot of fun doing it. So. Yeah. And it's kind of one of those once in a lifetime things. Like, how many times are you going to get to pour champagne into a champagne tower, right?
True. But yeah, I think just make it spectacular. Don't just do it to half-ass it, if that's what makes sense. True. Make it sparkle.
Hey, another one. Sparkling wine.
Oh.
Yeah,
I'm on
right?
fire today.
I know. Well, that kind of wraps up all the trends that we saw that the couples can do on their wedding day to spice it up.
Yeah.
I know you don't like it when I use spice it up.
Like,
jazz it up.
Hopefully just, do things that, or don't do things, right? There were some in there that we hope to not see running around to the tables.
Well, it's not about not seeing it. It's about modifying it so that it's a little bit easier for us. And I think overall it just gives a better experience to everyone. And
better quality, right? At the end of the day, I think that's where it gets me. It's the quality thing. So yes, these are some of the trends that we see. If there's any that we miss, feel free to send us a message. That would be amazing, or leave a comment, because we would love to see what you hope to see more of in 2024, or maybe less of. And then obviously we'll recap what we saw this year, coming next year, this year, next year. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but that's all I gotta say about that one. Cut that out. Yeah, I'm just gonna cut it off. Yeah. Okay.